Hey, thank you for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I am your host, music producer Chick with Beats, and I'm glad that you've joined me today. I got another show that's got music industry news for you, beats by me for your inspiration, and later my special guests of the Hip Hop Shop, DJ Milk D and King Samson, will be joining me. It's going to be a great time. We're going to talk about elevating hip hop culture and a whole bunch of good stuff, so I'm excited to be bringing this to you. So before I go ahead and drop this first beat, I want to give a shout out to my home station, Grander Radio out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And with that, let's go. producer Chick with Beats, and you're listening to my podcast, Instrumental Intel. Okay, I'm back with the Music Biz Brief as promised. First up, music companies are canceling Grammy Week events to focus on LA wildfire relief. Sony Music, Universal Music Group, and Warner Music Group are redirecting resources to aid affected communities, including donations for first responders and displaced individuals. Sony Group has pledged $5 million. Universal noted that over 50 members of their staff are suffering losses, and Warner committed $1 million through its social justice fund. Meanwhile, Live Nation announced Fire Aid, which is a benefit concert on January 30th, and the Grammys, set for February 2nd, will proceed, but they say they're going to emphasize resilience and raising funds for wildfire recovery efforts. Next up, YouTube is introducing a monthly audience metric, providing a public measure of an artist's unique listeners and viewers across YouTube, YouTube Music, and YouTube Kids over the last 28 days. This stat, updated daily, includes views of official uploads, collaborations, fan-made videos featuring the artist's music, and non-music content. With YouTube's massive user base of over 2.7 billion monthly active users, this metric gives artists another way to showcase their popularity, especially those thriving on YouTube or YouTube Shorts. For others, it highlights the growing importance of building an audience on the platform. Next in news, Chartmetric's latest report reveals there are now 11.3 million artists on its platform, up from 1.7 million last year. With 25.7 million tracks ingested in 2024, 10.5 million released this year alone. However, only 14% of Spotify profiles tracked by Chartmetric have more than 10 monthly listeners, and just 37% of those exceeded 1,000 listeners. While music saturation grows, breakthrough success remains rare. 308 artists reached Chartmetric's Superstar category in 2024, with 60 Latin artists among the 370 surpassing 20 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Also, Sony Music Entertainment has acquired Superfon, a historic Czech record label founded in 1932, marking a significant expansion in Central Europe. Superfon's catalog spans classical, jazz, pop, and rock, featuring artists like the Czech Philharmonic Orchestra. In 2023, Czech language artists dominated local charts with 7 of the top 10 albums. Streaming revenue in the region grew 18% year over year, accounting for 60% of the $84.1 million industry in total. Sony plans to leverage its global resources to elevate Czech music internationally, continuing its aggressive M&A strategy across Europe and emerging markets. Next, in the first half of 2024, indie distributors managed 62.1% of US tracks streamed 1 to 10 million times, showing consistent growth across higher streaming tiers. Ditto Music now supports over 2 million registered artists, experiencing significant year-over-year growth in regions like Mexico, 121%, Africa at 70%, and India at 61%. With services including publishing, sync licensing, and label support, Ditto remains a vital part of the indie music scene. Emerging markets and successful artists are driving the rise of independent music distribution. In other news, Next Beat, a new music-focused gaming company spun out from Space 8 Games, will lead the development of music rhythm games like BeatStar and its successor, Country Star. Backed by Supercell, which fully acquired Space Ape in 2024, Next Beat launches with a London-based team of 30 and nearly $200 million in lifetime revenue from BeatStar. The co-founders aim to expand into genre-focused gaming platforms while exploring applications in education and mental health. BeatStar's success highlights the monetization potential of music and gaming, far surpassing streaming revenue. We'll see. Also, European live music giant Superstruct Entertainment has acquired Boiler Room, the electronic music livestream platform from ticketing company Dice. Boiler Room will retain its leadership team and identity while benefiting from Superstruct's global resources. Dice remains its official ticketing partner. Founded 15 years ago, Boiler Room has broadcast events in 120 markets and reached over 1 billion views online. Alright, and finally, Universal Music Group is moving toward a U.S. stock exchange listing, with Pershing Square Holdings requesting the process under a prior agreement. Pershing will sell at least $500 million in UMG shares by September 2025 as part of the listing, aiming to boost trading liquidity and attract more U.S. investors. While UMG plans to maintain its Amsterdam domicile, this dual listing could broaden its investor base and improve valuation. Analysts anticipate the U.S. listing will benefit Universal's market performance in 2025. Alright, that's it for the Music Biz Brief. I'm going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then I'll be back with my special guests, DJ Milk D and King Samson of the Hip Hop Shop podcast on Europe Radio. Keep it locked. Hey, I'm a chick with beats, multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit achickwithbeats.com for resources for artists and instrumentals in various genres available for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwithbeats.com. That's ACHICKWITBEATZ.com. Let's make something happen. Great. Thank you so much for tuning in to Instrumental Intel. I am your host, music producer, Chick with Beats, and I'm excited to say that I have both DJ Milk D and King Samson of the Hip Hop Shop on Yerp Radio in the virtual building. How y'all feeling?
Feeling good. Thank you for having us.
Excellent. I'm really glad that you could come. DJ Milk D, you've actually got rare status. You're the first returning guest to Instrumental Intel, because the original interview, then Rooted Sounds, and now the Hip Hop Shop. So yeah, I'd love to hear about how you guys came up with it and kind of the idea and passion behind it.
Well, I'm gonna let King Samson start with that answer. He is kind of the fire starter for the Hip Hop Shop. So take it away, King Samson.
Well, basically, Milk had his radio station, and I've been trying to get on it for a while, and it wasn't a good time. And basically, he finally came up to me and says, "Oh, if you want to do something, you could do something for an hour." And I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, so I could do a full hour, and how am I going to fill this time? I'm not a talker, so I ought to DJ and not say a word for a full hour. I said, for a radio station, that's not really good. So I kicked the idea to him. I said, why don't we do a hip hop show together? Just me and you. And he's like, how's that going to work? And I'm like, we'll work it out. We'll figure it out. Like, it's not a big deal. It's like, we love doing this, so let's do it together, and maybe we could come up with something. And he liked the idea. I bounced some ideas off of him, and he bounced ideas off of me, and then we came to the conclusion of the show. And we didn't know what to call it, and we ended up calling it the Hip Hop Shop. And he liked it, and we ran with it ever since.
Okay, well, it's really dope. I appreciate being a guest on it. I had a great time. And so, I actually caught the first episode before the one that I was a guest on. And I'm like, man, they're really on to something. Like, just the way that it sounded, the way that it flowed was so smooth. I love the way you guys interact with each other. So yeah, how did you guys actually come to knowing each other and kind of getting that groove that you guys got going?
Go ahead, Mel, tell them.
Well, Chick with Beats and all the listeners out there, me and King Samson are big kids. And when I say big kids at heart, but also we were into video games. And there was this one particular video game, shout out to PlayStation, especially SOCOM. You need to bring that back. Speaking of that, but there was a game called SOCOM, which is like Call of Duty. So SOCOM kind of kicked Call of Duty off. And it's a third-person shooting game. And the game consists of teamwork. And we bumped into each other online, because even to this day, 24 years now, actually, I've known Samson, but I've never met him. Samson lives in Toronto, and of course I'm in Richmond, Virginia. But on this video game, it brought us together through another mutual friend. I'm gonna shout him out, Al Lowe, our brother, aka Shaolin Soldier.
Shaolin Soldier, for real.
Yes, that is my brother from another mother as well. And this particular individual, who is family to both of us, allowed us to come into this group that we called a clan, and it was called Soldiers Unit. So all of us had these names, and we had tags to ID us as a team or a clan. And we were rocking. We'll meet up every like Tuesday, Thursday, or Sundays, or whatever the case may be.
It was Sundays and Wednesdays.
Sundays and Wednesdays, that's right. And it was probably like 20 of us at Chick with Beats from all around the world. And
shout out to XXI.
Oh yeah, we got to give like Grassy Knoll and oh man, Ski Mask. Amen. Ski Mask. Yep. Rain Man. You got to give Rain.
Flip Soldier.
Flip. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yep.
Red Soldier.
Red Light. Yep.
There's a bunch of us.
Yeah, I was called No Limit Soldier. My son was Little Limit Soldier. I even brought my son in there.
That's adorable.
We had a toy soldier, a wooden soldier, Sofrito soldier. It was so many soldiers, but there was one soldier. One soldier we got to shout out, and that is Method Man. And his name on there
99 Soldier
was 99 Soldier. And Shaolin, aka Allo, CEO of Trigonon Productions, shout out to his label, brought us into the room with Meth. And he never said in the beginning who he was, but that raspy voice, we were like, is that Meth? So to speed up the story, it was really him. And we've met him multiple times. Like, I've been on stage with him, not performing, but in the background. You know, he'd throw water on me and, you know, and give me love and all that stuff. But me and Samson have never met. So one day we're going to do a reunion, get all the soldiers together. Met Redman and Street Life. I mean, it's crazy. So we've met, but we haven't met. And it's going to happen. Technology today is just amazing, as we all know. So anyway, that's the story.
That's incredible. Well, since you guys brought it up, with the whole gaming world, you know, with that and music, it intersects so much. Are there any, I guess, games that you played that kind of stick out in your mind, like where the soundtracks or like some of the songs that they played, just you kind of attach it to that feeling?
I mean, Grand Theft Auto
always had the best music.
Yeah, I mean, that hip hop, I mean, it would be Cypress Hill, and I mean, who cares about the profanity? You know, they were dropping it.
They had different stations, so you could, if you, depending on your feel, your mood.
Yep.
So I always had it on the hip hop R&B station, but you know, there was the rock station. There was a whole bunch of different stations, and they had some good tracks. Like a lot of the hip hop that they had, I enjoyed, and I kind of looked out and I kept that in my catalogs of listening to. Like Sean P was on that, and I'm like, yo, I'm a Sean P fan forever. So you know, I had that on repeat.
Yeah, this pen game was phenomenal. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. I asked that question because, you know, especially with you guys having a hip hop shop, made me think about, you remember when Def Jam had the Violator?
What
was the Vendetta? Like, that was one of the favorites.
Yeah.
I got my butt kicked every time. It was actually my husband's game, but, you know, I still tried it. But
yeah.
Every time. So, okay, you know, you guys have been bringing on people to the show, and, you know, I know you got another guest coming up for the next one that airs. So if you could talk a little bit about how you find who you're going to pick for the next interviews. And so
go ahead, Samson.
I don't pick no one. You pick them all. You'll call me up. Honestly, okay. Honestly, the first couple it's because we're new and everything like that. We're reaching out to people who we know, people in the industry that we know and that be interesting, that will have some interesting stories and whatnot. Basically, we're open to interview anyone, but right now, because we're just starting and we're just trying to get our feet wet, we're reaching out to people who we know, and hopefully they would tell their friends, and maybe they would introduce us to new people, and we just keep on moving in that length.
Okay, that makes
Facts.
sense. I had to ask the question just because the majority of the listeners of Instrumental Intel are artists or creatives in some way, shape, or form. And so, it's always good to have exposure. But yeah, I get what you mean about, just reaching out to people that you know is usually the safest bet. Because yeah, I've had situations on other shows before where, maybe the PR person reached out and then, you have the conversation. It's just like, whoa, where did you come from? So yeah, it's important to kind of be able to do that vetting, if you will.
Yeah, and it's been a blessing to a chick with beats because, like, for example, you, I do know you, but you're also a dope artist and producer. So the guests that we've had so far, I've known, but they're also dope. So I feel like it has really been easy. So like Samson said, we've reached out to people we know first, but I'm hoping the listeners from the Hip Hop Shop, or even like you said on your show, will inquire, because I feel like we're onto something. Even you said that.
Absolutely.
And when you do what you love, when you do what you love, it never feels like work. And Samson and I are having a blast. And just like what you do on your show, you have fun, and I feel like this is something Samson and I could keep doing for a while.
Yeah. Because you're definitely filling a void. There are hip hop shows and podcasts, but they're not doing what you guys are doing. So that's why I say it. And I've had to say it publicly as well, just to let people know, like, yeah, you guys are onto something special.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I know I'm trying to not get mixed up on where we've had these conversations since we've connected multiple times. But who were some of your musical influences? I can tell by, listening to the show, but for those who may not be familiar, who are some of your favorites for both of you?
Go ahead, Samson, you first.
My favorite influence is EPMD.
Ooh.
Helter Skelter. I'm a big Sean P fan. There's certain hip hop that just jives to me. So I don't want to go down the list of names and everything, but foremost it's EPMD, Helter Skelter. That's where it is. When I was younger, it was Big Daddy Kane. I was into the dancing, scoop and scrap and whatnot and stuff like that. So anything with the upbeat, I'm really into. I'm a 90s fanatic. That is where I reside most of the time.
I love that. I might have to borrow that. Because I tell people all the time, it's still the 90s in my car most of the time. But yeah, that's where you reside. I feel you on that.
Well, I'm an 80s guy. Of course, I'm a lot older than you guys. And
you're 1 year. Stop it.
Oh, man. I feel like I'm 10. I feel great. But Run DMC is my favorite all-time hip-hop group. To this day, I still wear Adidas shell toes. I really just clung to them, and I still play their music today. Old school Africa Bambaataa, Soul Sonic Force back in the day was monumental as well. I was a break dancer, learning how to DJ. Playing stuff like It's Time and FRESH, all that old school stuff really made me fall in love with hip hop. 90s, it has to be A Tribe Called Quest. I loved like De La Soul. I liked that whole movement. What is that movement? With De La. Thank you. It was like I was getting a mind by the native tongue movement. I was so into that. I'm thinking De La Soul, Saturdays, Me, Myself, and I. Potholes in my life. I can go on and on. But
I was way too young to like Buddy the way I did. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that.
Oh, that is funny, but yes, my Buddy. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my goodness, yes, that's a classic. And then as time went on, of course, Woo. Oh my gosh, man, Woo just came out of nowhere. This big, large group of guys, man. I was just like, yes. The West Coast, Dre, Snoop, Mac 10, Cube. Oh my gosh, Mac Dre, the Bay Area. Yeah, so yeah, always hip hop first, even though I'm a house head too, but hip hop is first.
Yes. There, and I wish that we had more of those blends that we used to get back in the day. Like Jungle Brothers, I'll house you, and like,
I'm gonna do you, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, you're getting turned up.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, both of you guys listed some really prominent people who ushered in styles that came, after them, and I feel like that's so important. So yeah, with that being said, you both got a love for the classic hip hop. Kind of, where do you envision things going? Because lately, there have been a lot of people that have returned. They're putting out new singles, new albums. Do you think that we'll kind of get that shift back to where we still kind of have some of those vibes? I mean, of course, it's not going to make us feel like how we felt back then, but I kind of feel like there might be a renaissance where everything's kind of re-emerging again. What do you think about that?
If it happens, it happens. Everything's on a wheel, right? Everything comes back. Will it come back how it was? Never again.
Right.
We lived that. The kids want to push it to their own things. That's their business. I could respect them if they do it, but is it going to make them money? I don't know. How things are going, everything is cookie cutter. You're gonna, they want the violence, they want the flashy girls, they want all that. They think that's hip hop, and that's only hip hop. It wasn't, because if the same way that people say this is hip hop, I could show you hip hop where guys and girls were together and they were fully clothed and having fun.
Yeah.
We just talk about Buddy. That whole video with like Latifah, everyone was they had clothes on and they were just having fun. They were talking about sexual stuff, but they were clothes. They look at De La Soul with Saturday. Oh, you're telling me that girls were popping in their hoochie and carrying on, and guys were no, it was guys and girls, and they were roller skating and having fun.
Right.
So
facts. Yeah.
Will it come back? I don't think it left us. We got older and we have to dig harder for it.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I actually listened to Little Brother, and I thought hip hop was dead until I heard Little Brother. And I found out they had a whole bunch of albums that I never heard of. And the reason why is because I got busier. I was working. I was trying to get things together. I had no time to sit down and dissect music, but my friend put me onto something, and that showed me that it's always going to be there, but unfortunately you have to dig for it. It's like the old time. Remember back in the days in the 80s, hip hop wasn't prevalent like this. You had to dig for it, and we did that to get it, and we loved it more. So basically you have to get back to the basics, and unfortunately you're gonna have to dig on your computer and find these artists that want to do it.
Right.
Well, Samson, I'm gonna jump in right where you just said. That's why I feel like your radio is so different, because you can get that type of music on your radio. I'm gonna do my best to keep the old school hip hop alive. You don't hear what you hear on your radio. Like I there's so many internet radio stations out there. Okay, kudos to all of them. But I feel like your radio is different, because I'm going to play that stuff you just don't hear anymore. And now, I'm going to start doing the late night editions where I'm going to have some underground, meaning when I say underground, let me rephrase that. It's going to be not censored. I'm going to play the originals. There will be an underground to help independent artists, but I'm going to be playing the original NWA 2 Live Crew at a certain hour. But Samson, you are spot on what you said. I do believe hip hop will always live with us old schoolers. You got LL who's still around putting out music. Big ups to LL. Of course, Meth and Red, those guys, man, are still putting stuff out.
Yeah.
Muddy Water too.
Oh man, I heard some of his bars on YouTube. He still got it.
He really does.
So, anywho, not to continue on that topic, but I'm going to do my best to keep hip hop rocking on your radio. Old school hip hop, real hip hop.
Yes. So yeah. Again, I just gotta shout y'all out on the blends of listening to the hip hop shop. How you break in the music and everything just flows so smooth. It kind of reminds me of back in the day. Well, back in my day, when I was kind of young, like listening to college radio, we had a couple DJs that just used to keep it real like that. And so you guys kind of got that nostalgic feel, like new nostalgia, if you will. So like I kind of love that feeling listening. So yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Love the Samson. He's doing a good job on blending, putting the show together. I give him a lot of props.
That's what's up.
We're trying trial and error. I have to give the props to the guys before me. Like I'm from Toronto. We listen to 88.1. We listen to the underground. There's always a hip hop. Back when I was younger, there was always a hip hop show when it was like 12 to 2 or something. It was something stupid like that. And I listened to there was a DJ X. Then someone else took over the show after that, and the Real Freaks. There was I'm forgetting someone that started it off, and they put it on the show, and that's when we used to listen to hip hop. They would actually travel to New York, get music, and come back and play it for us. Because at one point in time, if a song came out in New York, it took at least a full month before it hit Toronto. That would be crazy. But then you have DJs that would actually go to New York and dig for those records and bring it back, and they play it for us, and then we would be, oh, what's this? And then you find new artists and stuff. I used to tape the shows and stuff like that. That's the feel that I'm trying to bring with our show. And I want you to hear music that you haven't heard before, and some is new, but most of it is old. Some old stuff that you haven't heard ever, and maybe you'll find something to listen to. So, you know what I mean? We just try to blend it in, and we have good people on talking some good subjects about hip hop, and that's all it is.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love it. I dig it. A lot of times, if I'm listening to radio, well, typically like through certain times, if I'm working on stuff, it's a little bit harder for me to listen to radio, just because I got my headphones on, I'm mixing or making something. But yeah, I got to make sure that I make time. Tuesdays at 7, because I know what I want to be listening to.
And you were there. So again, I know I thanked you on IG, but thank you for tapping in. We really appreciate that. And also your show. So all the listeners out there, if you do get interviewed on the Hip Hop Shop, if you go to europradio.com, that is YU 3 R's and a P radio.com, and go to more at the top of our homepage, you will see the links to the previous shows. So Chick with Beats is on there. Check out her interview. It is fire.
Yeah, she was. In fact, you were our first guest.
I feel so honored. Seriously.
Yep.
You're a veteran in our world.
Yeah.
It was an honor to be a guest on the show that I already enjoyed. So, I just want to make sure that I can shine a light to, any people that are in my audience that weren't in yours, that they know to check out what you guys are doing. Because most people that know me know how much I love hip hop. So yeah, I want them to find you and just recognize what you guys are doing. Loving the blends, loving the vibe. Even the next guest that you had on was incredible. I'm excited to hear who's coming up next. But yeah, you guys got some dope finds.
We got some. Man, hey, listeners. Oh, yes. Please check out the previous ones. Chick with Beats, definitely. But stay tuned we have some special ones coming too. Well, all of them been special, but it's just like we're blessed because they're falling in line. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
What's great about our guests so far is like we're having good conversations, and it's not made up. It's like we're just sitting down, we're just talking, and we're just talking about hip hop, and to hear about each person's different engagement in hip hop.
Yeah.
Loved. It's interesting because everyone has a different story about how they fell in love with hip hop. So it's always new, it's always fresh. And then when you start talking about old things and you get excited and you're talking, it's like sometimes we lose time and the interview's done before it started, you know what I mean? Because we're just like,
yeah.
Like, I'm kind of excited about our next one, Chosen One.
Woo!
He just
From
went
LA.
in. He just went in, and I can't wait for that one to come out.
Awesome. I can't wait to listen. But yeah, I get what you mean about like how that time flows when you're having conversations. I was trying not to interrupt you when you mentioned Two Live Crew. Like, you know, some of those, it's like, oh yeah. So yeah, it's kind of nice to be reminded of, you know, good vibes, good music, and kind of to walk that memory lane specifically for hip hop. So
We're trying to. Another thing too is like what we talk about. We're trying to get better at the music around it. Is so if we're talking about a certain artist, we're trying to bring that artist in our mix. So it correlates to what we're talking about. So you understand what we're talking about, because if you just come in and you don't know the artist and we're talking about a certain thing, then you're going to actually hear the music and you have a chance to say, oh, okay, I like it. So now you're able to go on YouTube and figure it out.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Facts.
Because, you know, I love how that ties into what you were saying earlier about people having to dig. You guys are kind of doing the work for them. So they don't have to.
Just a little.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, my time frame growing up in that, I was kind of like in between. So some of the stuff was brought from other places. Like if, you know, I had cousins or somebody traveled and then brought stuff back. But then I was also part of the era where it was tons of good stuff in rotation in mainstream. So of course, you know, there was always trash, you know, sprinkled in sometimes. But, you know, for the most part, I was part of the generation that got a little spoon fed. So once I had to dig for it again, I'm like, oh, I don't like this. I don't have time to do this. But yeah, it's always been worth it. So yeah, I really respect what you guys are doing, because like I say, you're just making it easier for people.
We appreciate it. Yeah. I was going to say, when I was a little dude and finding out what hip hop was, I was blown away. And I have to shout out my big brother, Double D, who first exposed me to hip hop and DJing with the Fisher curved arm turntable, and of course the vinyl. I would go over to Philadelphia, because I lived in South Jersey, but I was only like 10 minutes from Philly, and I would go over there to the record shop and get vinyl, like 12-inch singles, $2.99. Then I started getting into the break dancing, like I mentioned earlier. It's just, man, that era. I'm so glad I was born when I was born. I mean, it's just real hip hop.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah.
I don't know. It's exciting to to listen and talk about it. But yeah, we were just talking about how fast time goes. I'm kind of winding down here. I know, right? But if you could maybe just talk a little bit about where people can find you. You already gave the website, but just in case somebody's, you know, coming in a little late, let them know where they can follow you and tune into the Hip Hop Shop.
Where can they find you, King Samson?
You can find me at Europe Radio. That's where you can find me.
My brother. Yeah.
I'm on Instagram. I go King Samson Official. If you could you could link me. I'm not a hard guy to talk to or whatever. So if you want to link there, that's fine. You know, I post a couple things. Other than that, europeradio.com.
There you go. Yeah, and on Instagram, it's for me, it's D for Daryl, J _ milk _ the letter D for Daryl. But follow the Europe Radio one as well. That's YU 3 R's and a P _ radio on Instagram. And both of those sites, we have a link in the bio that will take you straight to Europe Radio. And for the listeners, when you do go to Europe Radio, you have to hit listen live. And once you hit listen live, it will start playing. But some advice, if you don't click the link, you can Google us and find us, but try to save it to your home screen on your phone, because then it's easy access. You don't have to just type in europeradio.com and all that. If you save it, you'll have it on your phone. As far as the show, make sure you tap in Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Hip Hop Shop. The website has the previous episodes, like I mentioned. And stay tuned. I mean, we got a lot of great things happening on europeradio.com.
All right, that's what's up. And you're right about the home screen, but actually, I've typed it so much on my phone that as soon as I hit that little plus symbol and everything pops up, it's one of the first ones that's already there. So that's why I'm able to get on so quickly. Like, oh, okay, it's time. Yeah, I don't even have to type it out anymore. So yeah,
that's because you're awesome. We appreciate you at Chick with Beats.
Thank you. I appreciate what you guys are doing, and yeah, I, again, just urge the listeners to make sure that they check y'all out and keep up with what y'all got going on. It's definitely something special. I'm seeing what you're doing, and yeah, it's beautiful already, and I'm excited for more people to know and come on board.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, and that's a wrap for this episode of Instrumental Intel. I've been your host, music producer, Chick with Beats. And once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank my special guests, DJ Milk D and King Samson of the Hip Hop Shop on Europe Radio. Please do make sure that you check them out. Excellent show. And of course, I'd like to thank my home station, Grander Radio, out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Come back next week. I got more goodness lined up for you. So till then, you know where to find me. Tune in, tell a friend. I'll see you then. Peace.